Horror on the big screen is more than just a movie. It's a journey into the abyss. Tonight, we take that journey with the legends who created the terror. Welcome to Fright Night.
All right, and welcome into Fright Nights, episode 3 of Fright Nights. Episode 1, we had a director. Episode 2, we had an author. And now we have our first actor and director now, I should say. You're working on your own movie coming up here. We'll get into that a little bit later, but please welcome in Craig Dowsett.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I hope I appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me today. I know you're in London. There's quite a bit of time change, but we made it work, and we're going to be chatting about horror.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Now, I always ask people, because I found in a previous episode that just because people work in horror doesn't mean they're horror fans. So I'm going to start off. Are you like a horror fan before you started the acting and everything else?
Yeah, I've always been a horror fan, really. Since I was probably 13 years old, I think that's when I saw my first horror movie, which was one of the old Aliens films.
Okay.
Like a sci-fi horror. Yeah, it scared the crap out of me, but after that, I was like, you know what, these are cool, and then it just got me into it from there, really. So yeah, I've always been a massive horror fan.
Now, I know a lot of the people that are going to watch this are more than likely going to recognize you from Blood and Honey, the Blood and Honey 1, the Winnie the Pooh movie. And before we get into sort of that film, I was always shocked that it took somebody this long to start doing horror versions of family-friendly Disney movies. And with it, Blood and Honey being one of the first indie movies that are coming out of this new universe that they're creating, what was it like being a part of that?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing and insane at the same time. I mean, like you say, no one had really done anything like this, and you ask yourself, oh, why was it never done before? I think it was a bit of a don't go area with children's characters, and then we just broke the mold, went all out for it. Winnie the Pooh went into public domain, and then we jumped onto that to see what we could create and see how the audience would react to it. And yeah, it just took off from there.
Now, what made you decide that you wanted to play that role of the Winnie the Pooh that tries to kill Christopher Robin and all of his friends? Like, how did you look at that and be like, that's the role I want to play?
Yeah, it was just because it was a totally unique role to play. You know, it's never been done before. So when I got offered the part, and I read the script, I was like, yeah, this is going to be A, lots of fun to do, and B, you know, it's never been done before. So for me to be the first guy, the first actor to kind of dress up in that costume as the iconic Winnie the Pooh, but then flip it on its head, do a horror killing version of it, it was, yeah, it just got me hooked straight away.
Now, the costume in the first one, as opposed to the second movie that came out, looked like it was a lot bulkier and heavier. What was it like trying to act in that sort of costume? Because you're not a small guy as it is. Having a costume that looks like it weighs a ton, especially in scenes where, like, if you had to get wet or the blood's all over the costume, like, how was it being in that costume for however long it took to film the movie?
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, acting in a costume and mask is never easy to start with, really, because you're kind of a bit claustrophobic in there. When you've got a full fit mask over your head, you can feel a bit kind of, it throws your senses off, your sight, your sounds, your perception. So it's always difficult acting in those masks, but it was fun at the same time because you put the costume on, you look at yourself in the mirror and see the other cast reaction, and you're having a giggle and fun at the same time. But no, I mean, sometimes it was hard to see. The hardest bit was the breathing because it only had the mouthpiece. You couldn't breathe out the nose. So when I was doing the scenes that involved running through the forest and bits like that, you kind of got out of breath a little bit. So between takes, you just had to like sit down and just control your breathing. But no, other than that, it was great fun.
Yeah, and you were talking about only being able to breathe through your mouth. I feel like that kind of boosted the intensity that Winnie the Pooh had in Blood and Honey. Like, it kind of made him that much more intimidating.
Yeah.
Hearing the panting and the heavy breathing.
Yeah, that's right. Because like I say, acting in a mask, you've got to you can't express your facial emotions in a mask, so you have to do it through body language. So just to try and be as foreboding and menacing as scary as possible, with the slow, menacing movements and make him feel big and heavy.
That was one of the things I was gonna jump into as well. It in that first movie specifically, Winnie the Pooh was more often not than not a silent character. Like I think you had very few lines in that movie. What was the challenge of portraying the emotions and interactions you were expected to as Winnie the Pooh without actually being able to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why they kept him fairly quiet is because obviously you want him to be scary, and Winnie the Pooh's voice in the original cartoons and things is a bit the opposite. He couldn't be like, oh, couldn't be going killing around killing people, going, oh dear, I'm terribly sorry. So we were like, no, let's make him like a bit of a Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees sort of style. Just keep him silent, keep him, foreboding and menacing, really, and go from there. And obviously the voice is copyrighted anyway by Jim Cummings, so we couldn't really go there with that either. So just keep him silent, keep him scary.
Now, I was trying to look online before we hopped on the meeting here today. You, in the movie, in the first one at least, the only other character from Winnie the Pooh was Piglet, who was the sidekick of you as Winnie the Pooh. Who was the actor for Piglet?
His name was Chris Cordell.
And what was it like acting? Because he was a little more vocal in the movie, wasn't he? How was it?
I say more vocal. I mean, he had the grunts and the kind of like wild, piggish, boorish sounds that he was doing. He didn't say any lines of speech, for say, but yeah, acting with him it was great fun. We put the costumes on. We looked at each other and was like, had a good giggle and was terrorizing the cast and crew off camera, in the dark, jumping up on people, and yeah, it was a great experience, and we had good fun and created some movie memories at the same time.
Now, how long did was the production of Blood and Honey? How long did it take from start until they said cut for the last time and it was ready to go?
Yeah, so for me, 14 days in total with some reshoots and some extra footage, and we changed the ending. So yeah, for me, I spent 14 days on set.
And how long did it take for you to get in and out of the Pooh costume?
Yeah, not too bad. About 15 minutes, 15 20 minutes, because the majority of the costume was easy because I had the bodysuit underneath and the shirt, then the pants and boots, and then it was just putting the mask on and getting that tucked in and fit right, really. So it was quite a quick in and out of costume wise. Some actors can spend hours and hours in makeup and having the costumes done and fitted, but no, I was very lucky with that one. It's 15 20 minutes done.
And while filming Blood and Honey, what kind of behind the scenes or memorable bizarre moments can you clue us in on that we might not have been able to see it translate into the film or on social media posts or stuff like that?
Yeah, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. Like when I had my mask on, I couldn't hear anything really. So when the director's like shouting "cut, cut," I'm still going because I can't hear it. So I'm literally having people running after me, tapping me on the back, going, cut. Yeah, things like that really, and yeah, a few hiccups along the way, like when I was in the car running over Lara's head. It was so dark that night, and the smoke machine was out. So they're going, right, go for it. So I'm going along, and I can't see the little ramp because there's a little ramp made up to simulate going over the head. So I couldn't see it. So I missed it about 2 times. And then they're like, right, reverse back. And I'm like, I can't even see, let alone reverse back. Yeah, there was some comical moments.
And we talked about the actor for Piglet. Were there any other cast or crew members that you had worked with before Blood and Honey, or was it all fresh and new faces for you?
Yeah, all fresh and new faces. Yeah, yeah, totally new.
And did it take any leeway time for you to get comfortable working or acting alongside certain people, or was it just like, did it feel natural when you got on the set the first time?
Yeah, no, it felt natural. I mean, we all gelled really well straight from the start because we had that hype, that excitement that we're creating something unique, and nobody knows about it. So we all had that energy, that really good vibe going on. We all just literally just went for it and got on really well.
Now, when you've met fans of the film afterwards, do they recognize you outside of the costume, like just at first glance, or does it have to be the super fans that have deep dived like I have to try and find out who was the man behind the mask?
Yeah, yeah, kind of a bit of both. I mean, most of the time I get away with not being spotted, which is great sometimes. And because when you're in the mask, not many people kind of associate your face with that unless they look into it properly. Sometimes I get double takes, people walking past me and double takes and things. But yeah, no, it's yeah, majority wise, it's super fans that know that it's me.
Now, you weren't in the second Blood and Honey, correct?
Yeah, correct.
But I've seen online they are listing you as coming back possibly in the third one. Is that a possibility in the future for this year, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always available. I've said to the director Reese and Scott that if they ever want me back for that role, that I'll be happy to do it. So it's down to them in the long run. It's their movie, but yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Now I know that they're doing an entire universe with
Yeah,
Disney characters. They just released the Peter Pan film that's coming out, and then according to the internet, there's going to be like I've been calling it an Endgame level joining of the horror characters that have been released this year. Is that actually going to be a thing, or have
yeah,
they?
that's going to be a thing. Yeah, as far as I know, I think it's called Pooniverse Monsters Assemble. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going ahead with that. Like you say, they've done Peter Pan. I think they've done Bambi, The Reckoning, and I think they're doing a Pinocchio one as well. So yeah, they've really dived in deep to the twisted horror universe, childhood characters, which is great. It's fantastic for them. It's never been done before, and they've created this whole entire kind of library of all these movies that you can watch and have fun with. So yeah, tip my hat to them, and they're doing a great job.
Now I'm looking back through my notes here, and I forgot to. We were talking about playing Pooh when he's a non-vocal character. Was were there conversations with the director looking at a script, like asking like how he wanted you to express this emotion or have people think, oh, that's what he's thinking without you actually ever saying anything under the mask?
Yeah, yeah, we were always relaying back and forth how they want the scene to go because trying to portray that character that's never been done. The question is, how does he want me to do it? How does it want it to look on screen? So we would go back and forth and we'd run through each scene and he'll be like, right, I want you to kind of stand like this, look around slowly like that, make it as scary as possible. So yeah, we were always relaying to each other what he wanted me to do and how to portray it, which is great because, to go on set in a totally new costume and mask and, it's Winnie the Pooh of all people. So
Yeah.
you sit there and you wonder to yourself, right, how do I want to do this? How can I make this, really frightening as possible? So it was good to have some relay from the director. He knew exactly what he wanted, and I tried my best to make that happen.
Now, when there was also I've noticed a trend in these Disney horror spin-offs that they like to implement a lot of sort of dark humor and like just underlying jokes. What was it like trying to get those across as Winnie the Pooh, who was a childhood staple and everybody knows who it is, but trying to throw out these dark jokes without even saying anything, one, and two, like I said, being this big intimidating version of what a lot of kids grew up with. What was the kind of how was it trying to get that message across with the jokes and the humor as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly straightforward. I mean, I had a scene where I was eating honey out of the massive honey pot. We wanted to add that in, so he's not just going around killing people. He's like he's eating his honey like Winnie the Pooh does, and it's all dripping down down my face and that. So yeah, we try to implement those bits from what he actually does into it.
Now, did you or the other people in the crew ever expect for the movie to blow up the way it did and get such a great response that it has in the community? Because I mean, before I watched it, I'm like, this can't be but so good. And then I watched it and I was hooked. I had to watch the second one immediately, and I'm hooked in this they call in the Pooniverse now. I'm addicted, and I feel like a lot of other people love that type of indie film that throws in a dark twist on what they knew growing up.
Yeah, yeah. No, none of us had any idea that it would be this big. I mean, we filmed it to go to VOD or DVD release, and then as soon as the internet got hold of it, it just went viral. It broke the internet. It went absolutely nuts. So we were like all looking at each other. It's like, wow, this is insane. To get that much publicity. And then obviously, like, one of the main pictures that come out first was me in the mask and the costume. So for me as a person, an actor, I was just like, wow, this is insane, because that was my first lead role myself as an actor.
Yeah.
So it was just totally like next level, next world publicity. Then CNN were getting involved, the BBC over here in the UK, and all the newspapers. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. None of us expected it. I mean, I remember turning my phone on one morning when it first went viral, and I had like 97 notifications and messages, like links, Yahoo, and bloody disgusting, and all these articles and things. And I was just like, I spent the whole day just going through them. I was like, wow. So no, none of us could ever have expected it to be as successful as it has. But no, it's fantastic.
Now that leads me on with Blood and Honey blowing up the way it has. Before Blood and Honey, did they already have plans to do the Peter Pan, the Bambi, and everything else, or did those plans come because of how much success Blood and Honey received?
Knowing Reese, I would say they've always got a plan. I mean, none of us knew about the Winnie the Pooh film, that they were going to do it, until they literally went to casting. So they obviously had that idea, had it wrote, knowing that the characters were coming into public domain in the months leading up to it. So yeah, no, knowing Reese and Scott, they've always got a plan and know exactly what they want to do.
And now I was like I said, I was one of the skeptics going into before watching the first one as well, because I'm like, how can they successfully turn Winnie the Pooh horror? But and then the movie started with Christopher Robin showing, I think it was his new wife, taking
Yeah.
her back to meet you and the rest of the gang, and then it's all happy and cheery. They're throwing out some really cheesy jokes, and then Piglet pops in, and then it finally shows you. I'm like, well, they did a fan fucking tastic job turning Winnie the Pooh horror. I mean, because like I said, it was the fact that you didn't talk, and in horror, that's one of my favorite things is when the killer is non-vocal. I feel like when they talk and make jabs, one-liners, it can kind of ruin the movie. But just having someone chase somebody down, not saying a word, I think that's the way to go. When, especially if you're turning someone's childhood into a killer that chases people through the woods. Which leads me to another question: Is in the Blood and Honey universe, can Winnie the Pooh die? Because it seems like you just took a hell of a beating that entire movie and just kept coming back.
He's kind of like the Terminator. Like at the end of the first film, when I got sandwiched between the two cars, and I'm just come back to life and just keep going at him. It's just relentless monster. Can he die? I have no idea. Hopefully not. Hopefully he could live on forever. But you never know what could happen in these films.
Because it just seemed like in that first one, you just took beating after beating, and then you pop back up, which I love in a movie because it really gives the status that the killer is someone to be feared. You get movies where it's just normal people breaking into a house, and then
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just die like that, and it kind of ruins the
yeah.
effect. But having you come back with as big of a character as Winnie the Pooh was, just keep coming back, like you said, like the Terminator. I thought that was a very cool touch into Blood and Honey.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it more scary, knowing that you're watching the film and it's like, wow, the killer's taking a a beating, and he's just getting up, brushing it off, and just keep going relentlessly, rather than being like, oh, he's down, he's he's on the floor too easily, and that. It was just like, no, make him strong, make him powerful, make him more frightening.
And then another scene that I was a big fan of was near the end when it was Christopher Robin and I'm forgetting the other character's name, but it was just the two of them, and he was begging for you to spare her, and then you just didn't listen. I feel like spoiler alert, it's a little late for that, but if they haven't seen it now, they either won't or they need to go see it. But yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes. Is just the fact that Pooh as a character was so hurt that Christopher Robin had abandoned them all those years ago, that he just was in that no mercy standpoint and wanted to make him suffer.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end where he's like, he's praying, please, please, just stop. And so I start laying my knife down as if to make you think, oh, he's actually thinking about it, And then it's just that's it. No, relentlessly have that kill you.
Now, before we get into the movie you're directing now, which is your first time directing, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
In this Disney horror universe, is there locked down or in discussion you bringing back the role as Pooh or doing another role in that Poohniverse?
Nothing's ever out of the question. I mean, we have spoke about things here and there, but it all depends how they want to write the film and what they want to happen in it, and who they want in it, really. So, like I said, I'm always here. I'm ready to go to come back as that character if they ever wanted him to or needed him to. So yeah, you can never know what's in the future, but fingers crossed we can make something happen one day.
Also, before we get into the directing career, are there any horror or not upcoming acting directions for you where you're gonna play a certain role or that you know of, or you can?
Yeah, so I've got a production coming out sometime this year called Realm Odyssey, where I play a evil emperor called Kravos, who's
Okay.
the emperor of the 13 realms, and he's a bit of a nasty person, kind of like a vampire Dracula hybrid. So it's full mask, full costume, and yeah, he's got lots in store in that film. So keep an eye out for that when it comes out.
All right. And then, like I said, now I've been seeing it all over your social media, your Instagram, announcing new cast members, some of the production work. You are directing your first film. Is it called
Yeah,
Windigo? Is that correct?
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to make my own movie, just to have that creative control as well, to write it, to direct it, and put your vision across out there, and try and make it happen. So yeah, I'm deep into that at the moment. We're probably nearly halfway through the shoot. It's going really well. I've got some great footage coming out of that. So yeah, I'm really excited to get it fully finished, edited, the score attached, and get it out there to the world.
So one of the tough questions I've got for you is which, as of up to now, have you preferred, acting or directing, or are they just two separate things for you and you can't really choose between one or the other?
Yeah, they're two separate things, totally separate things. Because acting, you're going there to do a job how the director wants it done. You've got your script, you've got your storyboard. Whereas directing, you're then in charge of the production. You're you know telling the actors and actresses how you want things done, and you've wrote the script. So yeah, they're two separate entities, really. But I enjoy both. Obviously, acting, I've been doing it for a bit longer, and now directing is totally new to me. So I'm still learning a lot on the job as I go myself. But all the film sets I've been on in the past has helped me transition into the directing process, because I'm one of those guys where if I'm in between scenes or not acting, I'm sitting back and I'm watching and I'm observing what's going on, even down to like the DOPs, what they're doing, director, all sorts of people in the background, all the crew. I'm kind of like observing, watching how they're doing it, and it's kind of given me a bit of knowledge and experience going into me now directing my own. So yeah, I'm in a good place.
And so far, directing, you said you're about halfway through. What's been one of the biggest challenges being a director as opposed to being an actor? Being the man in
Um,
charge as opposed to
yeah,
being told
yeah,
what to do.
yeah. The biggest challenge as a director is getting everybody in one place at one time. Cast, crew, location availability. That's kind of a bit of a logistical nightmare because when you've got so many people involved, it only takes one to not be able to make it or someone falls ill, and it totally um, cocks the production up. So that's the most challenging part I've found so far. It's just it's just getting everyone together at the same time. But other than that, it's all running smoothly. Got a fantastic cast and crew, and the equipment we're using as well, and the location is amazing. Big tall trees, deep dense forest. It's fantastic.
And I've loved the way that you've been promoting it on your social media, the cast announcements, some of the behind the scenes production photos and videos, and you don't reveal too much while at the same time showing kind of the environment, the scene, like setting the scene that's going to be for Wendigo.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could, we don't want you to spoil all of it, but tease a little bit about what the movie is going to be, like kind of the vibe you're going for with it, and what we can expect when it is finally finished and released.
Yeah, so basic storyline is two couples go on a camping trip to kind of escape the hustle and bustle of the city. So they're like, right, we need a getaway, bring us a bit closer together. They haven't been spending much time together as couples and as friends. So they're like, right, let's go on a camping trip for the weekend. So they go into this deep, dark forest, try and pick a nice spot for the campsite, not knowing what's in there and out there. I mean, they've heard the myth and the legend, but have thought it's total nonsense. So then, eventually, in the film, it comes to light that there actually is something in there, and it's not friendly. It's scary and menacing and furry, and wants to kill everyone. So now the fight for survival is on. Can they get away and escape, or will they fall victim?
And now for me, I'm a big fan of the folklore and cryptids and stuff. With your film, are you trying to stick to like the folklore and the cryptids of the Wendigo, or did you put your own twist on it? Are you branching out a bit? How did you portray a character that I feel like through Supernatural and other movies that everybody knows what the Wendigo is and what it's supposed to be? Did you throw a little twist on it, or did you try to keep to the lore?
Yeah, I've tried to do a bit of both actually. Stick to folklore and the storytelling and how things are there, and also put a different twist on it myself as well. So you kind of get a bit of both, a bit of them thinking, oh yeah, actually no, that's what we've heard happens, and that's what we've heard it does, and then there's going to be bits where it's totally new, wild and scary. Hopefully, I'm enjoying the process of trying to create that monster.
And you mentioned that you found the a great like foresty filming area. Where is it going to be? The set location going to be? Is that in London where you're at now, or is it going to be somewhere
Yeah,
else?
so,
Or
so it's just south of London, in a county called Sussex, with
okay.
some amazing forests and wooded areas down there. And yeah, it's in a like a film studio set called Wilding Wood Studios. They've got acres and acres of land of all forests and buildings and stuff there. So that's where the film is primarily being shot.
So from the production process so far, do you have any interesting stories, funny stories, or I guess bloopers that you can tell us a little bit about now, something that's kind of happened in the process of production?
Luckily, I've been very lucky. The only blooper I've had on set is one of the blood pumps didn't quite emit as much blood as I was hoping. So you have to improvise when things go wrong on set. But no, luckily, everything else has gone to plan. Touch wood at the moment. So yeah, no bloopers so far.
And you said you're about halfway through. Do you have a estimated release date or when it might be out to where people can watch the full movie?
Yeah, I'm trying my hardest to get a release date for Halloween. Uh,
Okay.
if we can get the rest of the movie shot over the next couple of months, then it will go to post-production, editing, sound effects, score. I'm hoping I can get it out for Halloween. So we'll see, because obviously shooting outdoors, the weather plays a big part of it, especially over here in England, where one day it's sunny, one day it's raining, and you never know what you're going to get. That's the challenging part as well. But if I can make it happen, I'll try and get it out for Halloween. If not, probably latest will be Christmas.
Okay, and that this is your I mentioned earlier, this is your first outing
Yeah,
as a director, which
yeah,
is
directional debut. Yeah,
and which it's impressive. Like I said, with the social media post, it seems like you're as cool as a cucumber. Everything's under control, and I always like getting the not just the actor's perspective of working in film, but the director's, effects artist, stuff like that, because it really opens up the world of horror outside of just, hey, you played this role and talking about that. So that's why I had to bring up your Wendigo project, because I'm excited to see it. So far, the stuff I've been teased, like I said, I'm a big fan of cryptozoology and folklore, so it's right up my alley. So I'll be making sure I keep an eye out on Halloween. And if it's not released by Halloween, you'll be getting a message from me on Instagram being like, "Hey, what are we doing here? Where's it at?"
yeah, I'll try my hardest. Yeah. But that's my directional debut. I have got another movie I'm planning to shoot next, which is called Retribution. That's going to be more of a action movie, a bit like a John Wick style movie. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm still in the pre-production phase of that, finishing off scripts, getting cast together, locations, etc. But yeah, so first one is a horror movie for me, and then next an action film. So I've got the two different genres. So yeah, see if I can make that work.
And with the acting side of things, do you have preferred genres for acting, or do you just want to look at something and be like, oh, I want to do that, or what is the process of picking the roles that you would like to do as opposed to uh just what you can take, or however that works?
Yeah, for me personally, I like the costume roles. I like dressing up in a costume, wearing the mask, being the killers. I like that style of acting. That's my preferred kind of roles. I mean, I've done both. I've done roles with big script involved and things like that. But no, genuinely, I like to play the silent, ominous killer, um, or kind of like doing fighting scenes, uh,
Okay.
and stuff like that. That's what I would primarily go to pick. But no, yeah, I mean, in the acting world, you kind of take what you can when you can.
Now, if you would like to, I my focus was on Blood and Honey and Wendigo, but you talked about some other roles you've had. If you want to tell the people tuning in or watching kind of some of the other work you've done, and so they can come check out some of your past work before, if they haven't seen Blood and Honey, going to see that, or before they watch Wendigo or any other upcoming projects you got.
Yeah, so I played a character in a production coming up as well called The House That Zombies Built. I played two characters in that. I played Roger the Zombie Easter Bunny, because it's a zombie film. It's a zombie comedy film. And I played another character who got bitten by a zombie and turned into one.
Okay.
So that's still yet to come out as well. That's still in post production. What else did I do last year? I was the Phantom Reaper in a promo for Fright Rags for a Dean of the Dead hot sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had fun doing that, dressing up and killing people and that, and little promo promo shoot. And yeah, and then I've just been busy doing the Comic Con tours, and just getting deep into the directing process.
Now, also, you mentioned the Comic Con tours and stuff like that. Are there any that are coming towards the Virginia area, which is where we're based out of here, or if you're coming to America or anything like that in the near future or distant future, or
Yeah,
anything coming up?
nothing that I know of so far, but it's one of those ones where I could literally get an email from my agent, and then next week I could be in the US or anywhere in Europe. So hopefully I'll be back that way soon, to see the fans in the US. I always love coming out there. I've done a few out there, and Canada as well. So yeah, hopefully one day I'll be back very soon. But for now, I've been doing local ones in the UK, I've got one coming up in 2 weeks' time called Feel the Force, which is in Peterborough
Okay.
in the United Kingdom. So yeah, we'll see where it takes me next.
Yeah, we just had a for the first this is their first year doing it. We had a Screamiverse Horror Expo here in Roanoke,
Nice.
which before that the closest one was almost 2 or 3 hours away. So we finally
Yeah.
have a local convention, and they had some great guests that came out. But maybe next year or so we'll see you out there. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the first year I started doing them was 2023, just after the film was released, and that year was crazy. I think I'd done over 20 Comic Cons that year, and then 2024 I've done about 14, and now I'm on my second one this year. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years. I can tell you, been all over the world.
Now, with you still being working on your movie and being a busy guy, I do have one last segment that I usually do with my guests. It's kind of a fun rapid fire questions. If your answers have a story behind them, it doesn't have to be that rapid. But I've just got some horror based questions that throw out to you and covers a wide range of topics just to see how big of a super fan horror wise you actually are.
Yeah, sure, far away.
All right, the first is the obvious one. Favorite horror film of all time.
Oh, you can't ask that. That's the hardest question of them all. Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
That is a great choice for me. It's House of a Thousand Corpses. That was the big one for me. Based on following that line, is your favorite killer of all time?
Favorite killer of all time is probably Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
I took a lot of inspiration from that character and Michael Myers in portraying my Winnie the Pooh character, just because Jason Voorhees is practically indestructible as
Yeah.
well. So I took a lot from that. So yeah, I like him. I like his hockey mask and the way he kills and on there, and that's it.
All right, now we've got your favorite survivor, final girl, that type of scenario.
Famous survivor. That's a tricky one. I'm trying to think of some old ones that I've seen. Famous survivor, because I like a lot of horror sci-fi as well. So
And I
yeah,
feel like a lot of the modern movies, the survivors are kind of forgettable. They
yeah,
don't
they,
really
they
put
kind of
out the
are.
effect that
I
they
mean,
did back in like
yeah,
Nightmare
yeah,
on Elm Street, Alien Day. That was
yeah, probably Sigourney Weaver as a survivor in some of the Alien films, because that just stands out more. It's so much more notable than some of the ones of recent years.
all right. This next one has been a tough one for me, and since you're a gore fan as I am, your favorite kill.
Oh, whatever in any franchise. Oh wow, there's so many. Favorite kill. Yeah, no, that's a really tricky one. Probably gonna probably gonna be like from something like Predator.
Okay.
Yeah, just where you get the massive kind of like spikes that come out of his arms and just goes up through someone, just holds them up,
Yeah.
rips head and spine out. Yeah, yeah,
For me, with that being such a hard question, with the more modern horror, mine's gonna be from the second Terrifier film. Just like the shock factor of when he's killing the girl in her bedroom, and he runs down to the kitchen, grabs the salt and the bleach, and is pouring it on her wounds. It's just that shock factor, especially for a modern movie. You don't really see that level of sadisticness in a killer,
yeah,
and I love the way Art the Clown was portrayed and the way he did his kills. But yeah, it's too hard for me to pick an older film. I had to go with something more modern for favorite kill because that's one of the ones that you just don't see that in more modern movies, really.
yeah.
Now more specific to you, if you could play any iconic character, horror or otherwise, who would you have wished to portrayed?
Yeah, see, I would have loved to have portrayed Michael Myers. Yeah,
Now, are
yeah.
we talking OG Myers, Rob Zombie Myers, which specifically?
OG.
Okay, it's not a bad choice at all. And then So you said Nightmare on Elm Street was favorite horror film of all time. What about favorite franchise?
John Wick.
John Wick?
Yeah, I'm a huge action fan as well. And being a martial artist myself, I can appreciate everything that goes into making those kind of movies. So yeah, I just love that franchise. It's fantastic.
I can agree with that. I think Keanu Reeves is one of the best action actors that have been
Yeah,
out there.
yeah,
Jason Statham's another good one for me. I love his movies.
yeah.
Like because he has the just straight action. He's got the action comedies like Crank and The I Spy. Him and Keanu are both very well-rounded actors.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And now circling back to you one last time, what is something that people that do find out you played Winnie the Pooh, that some of the other roles you've done, that when they meet you, what is something that they would be surprised to learn about Craig?
Probably surprised how easygoing I am and chilled and laid back. I've had a lot of feedback of that in the past. Like, oh wow, he's such a nice guy, so cool, so calm. Which is how I like to be, and that's just me really. Yeah, I think coming from that kind of role where you're a killer to them, then they see you in the flesh and they're like, oh, he's just a normal nice guy. Yeah.
That was one of my things when I just shot you a message on Instagram asking if you wanted to do this, and it wasn't the fact that you were intimidating or anything like that, but it was just like I'm just a local radio guy in Virginia. Had no idea that you would respond, be willing to do it, just from somebody reaching out to you on Instagram. But I do really appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me. I've had a blast talking about, I mean, a horror version of Winnie the Pooh. I mean, how often do you get to talk to somebody about that? But and you did a phenomenal job with that role, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Wendigo to see how your director premiere goes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been great to come on your show and talk about all things horror and the Winnie the Pooh film. So yeah, it's been fun.
But now, before we sign off, the last part of the fun rapid fire portion, we are a rock and roll station. Are you a fan of rock music?
Um, I kind of haven't got a specific favorite genre. I mean, yeah, I like rock and roll. I like kind of dance music and all sorts really, but I haven't got a favorite genre. I'll just
Okay.
listen to whatever's on.
Well, for this portion, we're going to try and keep it to rock. And you said you like rock and roll, so we'll have opinions here. What is your favorite rock band or solo artist that you listen to today or in all time?
Probably, God, I like Foo Fighters, AC/DC. Yeah. I've forgotten the band's name now. Yeah. There's a Coldplay. I like Coldplay. I like U2. Yeah, it's just it's Oasis.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of music.
Now, what has been your favorite concert that you've been to?
I don't really attend concerts. I've never been a concert attending person, really, to go to.
Nobody's ever dragged you out to one, or a
No,
friend?
no live bands or arenas or shows. No, I'm a bit boring in that respect.
That's fair enough. I feel like I've gone to too many concerts since I've started working here at the Bear, but yeah, no, I think that about wraps things up. Like I said, Craig, I really do appreciate you sitting down with me. I know the time change might have been a little difficult for us to finally lock down a time and a day because I know we've been messaging back and forth for weeks, and we finally got together today. But I was very happy to sit down and talk with you. And before we sign off, is there anything career-wise, personal-wise, is there anything that you'd like to, a rabbit hole you'd like to dive down before we wrap things up?
Yeah, no, just thanks for having me on. It's been great to talk. And if everyone can just keep an eye out for my upcoming directional debut, that'd be fantastic. And hopefully, I can create something that you all enjoy and you like, and I'll come back and do it again.
All right, and if you're willing, yeah, like I said, once Wendigo's released, I'll get a chance to watch it. We'll sit down and we can have you back on
Absolutely.
for another episode, and we can talk about some of the reaction the film's gotten and what'll be next for you after then. Because I'm sure by Halloween you'll have other plans and projects coming up, and we'll be able to have another full episode with it.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Look forward to that.
All right, and that was Craig. He played Winnie the Pooh from Blood and Honey. He's also working on Wendigo. Make sure you check him out on social medias. He posts a lot of updates on his upcoming film, And Craig, once again, I can't thank you enough for sitting here and joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.